Hey, everybody. What's going on, world? What's up, world? What's up, world? In the background, I got music of my next guest coming on here shortly. J-Trony is back in here. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood of Texas. The 903 to be specific, where the dreams begin. You know what I'm saying? Just waiting for my guests to come in. Y'all know we're going to keep it moving. You know what I mean? We'll go ahead and jam this brother till he comes on and we'll introduce him. It's April 2020, y'all. We're in the times of the pandemic. You heard me right. We're in the times of the pandemic. Just waiting on my partner to come in, y'all. So just bear with me, man. I'm gonna be jamming his jams till I see him come in. So be patient. That song was called Inspired. We'll keep it going till we hear from my partner. He's getting all the song plugs right now. This one's called Sacrifice. I'm not gonna tell y'all his name yet. I'm gonna tell you what the song is though. Here we go. Your faith is proven by your sacrifice. Because you believe in it and it is killing you. Y'all bear with me. But for a higher purpose you stand. And you stand. And you endure. Yo.
Can you hear me?
You hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can't see you yet. Do that where it says share the video. I can hear you, but we gotta get that video popping. There he is.
Okay.
What's up, player? What's good?
What's good, family?
Man, listen, this is J-Trony. It's you now, Gabbin with the Guvna. Without further ado, I'm gonna let this brother introduce himself, man. Hey, tell the world who you are, where you at, and what it's about, Cat Daddy.
Hey, man, listen, first and foremost, JT, man, I want to tell you I appreciate the opportunity. I go by the name G-Eyez out of Boston, Massachusetts, Cambridge to be exact. But that's via Houston, Texas too. So let's not take that out. Southside stand up. I said Southside stand up.
Southside still holding. Southside still holding.
You know.
Word.
You already know.
Hey man, you know y'all to y'all to catch up with us, man. I was just playing your songs before you got on here. I was just jamming Sacrifice.
Oh, okay.
So as we was
Okay.
waiting for you to get on while we was playing that single Sacrifice, I can get that on Apple Music and beyond. Man, you know, I met G in Boston, man. This is where we met. This is our connection. Of course, once again, y'all, this is another musical connection, you know, because that's what I do. Man, tell people about your music journey, man. Start us from the beginning and tell us
Yeah.
about your journey, man. Tell us your story, man.
Yeah, I mean, originally born in Cambridge, Mass, around the grade school era. Ended up moving out to Houston, Texas, specifically A-Leaf. That's where I rep my South Side. I went to high school. I went to middle school in Houston. I started my musical journey actually started in Houston. So my sound, the people that are familiar with my sound now, it has more of a East Coast origin in terms of the draw. But my original sound was me freestyling with all my partners over screw tapes. So my original was, you know, man, I'ma come through, pop that trunk, you know what we gonna do, like that.
Yeah.
Like that was my original style. You know what I'm saying? And that started in high school. I think I started rapping in 10th grade. I started rapping in 10th grade. And it just, you know, from there, I just was freestyling and just, you know, with my homies, just doing my 1-2. And then when I graduated high school, I wanted to come back to Boston, to my original home city. And in between that time, meaning in between the time that I had moved from Boston out to Houston, my grandmother was sending me back out to Boston every summer. So I would go. My journey was I would be in Houston for the school year. So I was catching all that everything that you could think of from that Houston area, that organic screwed up click. From the big Pokies to the big Moes to the big Hawks to the Lil Flip came a little bit later. Lil Flip he was one of the younger ones that came. I'm talking about when Screw was actually still alive. That's how far when the Screw tapes was on the gray Maxell tape. That's how far back I went with it. So I started off doing the freestyles, and then when in between, I kind of got sidetracked, but in between the school year, I would go back to Boston for the summertime. So what would happen is that's why I would get my East Coast flavor. So I would go to Boston, I would hear the Wu-Tangs and the Nas's and the Jay-Z's, and I would hear that. And then I would go back to Houston, and I would hear all the screwed up click. And I would hear that it was a lot of West Coast that Houston was listening to at that time too. So if you was listening to somebody from Houston, it was probably somebody from the West Coast. So I was catching everything. I was catching my East Coast, I was catching my down South, and I was catching my West Coast, specifically Tupac. I was always a real big Tupac fan. Anyways, fast forward, I graduate high school in Houston. I decide I want to go back to college in Boston, and my family was in Boston. So I'm like, okay, you know, when I graduate, I'm gonna go to Boston. I'm gonna get myself established out there. And when I got to Boston, that's when I really started taking the music serious. So the first recording studio I had ever really recorded out of was in Boston. Shout out my homie Perry at Cyber Sound right there on Newberry Street. That was the very first real recording studio I ever recorded out of. And then from there, you know, it started growing and growing and growing, you know, to obviously where we at now. But that would be the beginning stages of what, you know, would grow to be G-Eyez. It was a long answer, but you know.
Hey, bro, but that's good. You know, that's what you ain't. You know, we ain't rushing you, man. That's an amazing story. And listening to a part of that is making me understand you even more from when I first came across. Because now, you know, now that we talked about this, now that I've got my little Houston chapter, my recent Houston chapter.
Yep.
If we would have talked back then, I would not have known any of those names you just put out there on the table. But
Yeah.
now I literally done rubbed elbows, so I understand even the area of A-Leaf. I understand
Yeah.
the whole thing, man. And
Yeah.
so it's tripped out when I came across you in Boston. Your grind was fierce. Your grind was fierce, man, and it was an independent grind. And now I understand you had some of that H-Town in you.
Yeah.
That H-Town out the trunk mentality. So I'm
Yeah.
understanding you a little bit more now that I hear this story, man. Now, okay, so you came back to Boston, the Boston area, because we're gonna give you Cambridge.
Yeah. Facts.
And so I ran into the Cambridge circle, and I've seen y'all, man. Y'all have grown so much over the years, all of you, man. From you to to we got was it Capital Management with Chris and them, and then
Yep. Capital front booking.
yeah,
Yep.
so we got them and Millie's, goddamn Millie's.
Yep.
So
Yep.
what was it about, particularly y'all being from the bridge? Tell me how that whole thing, like, tell me about the bridge movement, like how y'all built it and where it's at now.
So, man, to be honest, I can't take any, I don't want to take any credit for the original cultivation, because I was, because of my family. Big shout out, man. Rest in peace, my cousin Shiz Dog. He was one of the OGs out of the city of Cambridge, and when I moved back after graduating high school from Houston, he had already built a street name. He wasn't a rapper though, but his name in the street was very synonymous. And so when I came back, being his little cousin, they automatically just opened up the red carpet for me because of the work that he had put in. So when I came back and I was telling him, hey, cuz I rap. And he was like, you rap? And I'm like, yeah, I rap. And the studio that I had mentioned earlier, Cyber Sound, I had recorded 2 songs there. One called Fire and Ice, another one called GoldenEye, which is that's the derivative of G-Eyez. And so those were my first two ever like real recorded songs in the studio. And when I played those songs for him, I just remember him going crazy, like, that's you? And then bringing it back again. That's when they used to play it on the CD, where you would record it at the studio. The engineer would burn it on the CD, and you would go home the whole way listening to whatever you just recorded. I remember I remember bringing it back to him. Now, big shout out all my people. I'm specifically from the port. I'm from the projects, man, from a project called Washington Elms. And so when I remember driving around the projects with him, and we listening to my 2 songs over and over and over. And because of the name that he had made in the streets, all the dudes, they looked up to him. So I'm riding shotgun with him, and he'd riding around listening to my shit. So, they automatically was like, oh, that's you? Oh, because of who he was. And I didn't realize the level of talent that I had at that time. I was raw. I just was raw. I was always a lyricist. But I didn't know the level that I was at until the people started to tell me, like, damn, you good, but you like good. Like you can rap, like rap. Like a lot of people rap, but you got punchlines and metaphors and similes and wordplay, and like you a little bit different than these other cats that are actually good rappers. You kind of on a different level than the people I even look at as good. So it's to build my confidence, but really he was the initial person. And so I have to give him all the credit. And that's where my beginning of Cambridge element went to. But yeah, I mean, big shout out groups like MBS, Natural Born Spitters, Millie's, myself, Rap Squad, which at that time it was myself, it was Jay Cardam, the producer, and it was Certified G's. Certified G's then ended up growing into what you had mentioned earlier, Capital Front Booking, where they kind of took a step away from the music, but they opened up a booking agency. And so now they run all of my touring. Since then, I've been on 3-4 different US tours. I've toured throughout the East Coast. I've toured. I did 2 tours throughout the East Coast and 2 on the West Coast, and that's all doing parts of my homie Chris Davis, who was formerly certified G's. And then from there, I also opened up a publishing company. So I now have a publishing company by the name of C&B Publishing, which C&B Publishing is short for Cambridge. And I got a lot of music on film and TV now. I got music that plays right now on ESPN Sports Center, 13 Reasons Why on Netflix, The Best Damn Car Show, Music Moguls on VH1. I mean, I can keep going. I got over like 30, 40 film and TV placements. So, I mean, it just has grown, man, exponentially over the years. And then, not to mention, I got classics with Jay Tronius, you know what I'm saying? And we'll get a chance to discuss that. I know you're gonna segue into that shortly, but
well, I mean, you done made the segue, man. So let's hear your perspective about how we got up, man. Tell them that story. How did me and you link?
So so I'll be honest, man. I can't quite remember who was the person who connected us.
You know what? I'm gonna pull your card because I'm gonna put in. We were in Medford.
Yep.
At that studio, Jimmy Jules studio in Medford, Massachusetts. And we were crossing paths in that studio.
Yeah.
I lived right around the corner. I lived in Medford at the time. And I lived, and we both were coming through there. A lot of people were coming through. There was a little hub there for a second.
It was. Yeah, shout out Jules, man. Shout out Jules. I had another homie. Shout out Justin Springer. There was a couple people in there, man, that was out of that building, man. But yeah, so I do remember us meeting at that studio. And from my, I done put a few in the air over time, so my memory might be a little shot from there. But from what I remember, I know we met up at that studio, and I think we had exchanged information. I know, and I think we had played music for one another, and got a chance to say, "Hey, oh, you dope? Oh, nah, you dope." And really what it was. I think the biggest connection that we had was that you was from Texas, because I remember you telling me that, and I'm like, "What? You from Texas?" I lived in Houston for over 10 years, and you being like, "For real? Oh, all right." And I think that after we connected from having a mutual respect for each other's music, I think the Texas thing, it did something special for us, because up until that point, I was the only person kind of waving that flag. Like, okay, so I'll give you a slight background about me. So, I go by the name of G-Eyez, but in the city of Cambridge, they called me Texas Tony. So that was my hood name. Like, I didn't give myself that name. Right. So anybody who knows me from Cambridge would refer to me as Tex. And Tex is short for Texas.
Yeah.
And that was the name they gave me growing up. I used to hate that name as a kid. And they gave me the name, obviously I didn't give up my government as Tony. But because there's always a bunch of Tonys, it used to be like, Tony who? Tony from Texas? So I used to hate the name. I used to be like, man, I ain't from Texas. Even though, in a roundabout way, I was.
Right.
So whenever I would come back to Cambridge, they would be like, yo, Tex, yo, Tex, yo, Tex. And so that name just grew on me. So I became that person over time, because that was a nickname that the hood gave me. So I was always the person waving that flag. I didn't have no other Texas connection, not at all. Like, the people out here at that time, now it's grown a lot and the mindset has changed. But at that time, when people would find out I lived in Texas or had a tie to Texas, they would be like, you from Texas? Did you ride a horse to school? Oh, damn. Did you ride a horse to school? Was it cowboys and Indians? And I used to be like, man, y'all so close-minded. Just closed-minded stuff, especially when I started introducing screw tapes. They used to be like, is the tape messed up? Man, what is you listening to? And I'll be honest, man. I'm gonna take the credit. I'm gonna take the credit as probably, if not the first person, one of the first people to bang screw in the city of Cambridge. I'm taking that credit. I don't care who else got, but I want all the smoke. I want all the smoke.
All my life and all my years in Boston, I never heard nobody else claim that. So I can't contest it. I believe it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, you know, you and I ended up connecting, and then we ended up making some real powerful music, man. From what I recall, I know we got about 4 or 5 songs together, man, if not more.
Yeah, we do.
You know what I'm saying?
We do got. We have to go back. You know, no more.
Yeah.
We don't need to go back. We need to go forward now.
Facts.
It's time for some new music to be made.
Yeah.
It's overdue. It's overdue,
Yeah.
man. And so tell me, man. So you went from Texas Tony to G-Eyez. Where did you get the name G-Eyez? Where did you get that?
So G-Eyez came from, as I had mentioned earlier, it's a derivative of Golden Eyes, and Golden Eyes came from the James Bond flick, and so I actually developed that name, and that came from whenever I would watch Golden Eyes or James Bond movies, the main theme would be that he would be in adverse circumstances, no matter what the adverse circumstances would be. Yet he would always make it out, and he would make it out looking fly with the suit on, and always had a pretty lady on his arm. And that metaphor, it just the metaphor of that movie just made sense to my life for me. So I'm like, no matter what sort of circumstances I'm up against, I always somehow make it out. You know what I'm saying? Clean. You know what I'm saying? With the fly lady on my arm, kind of thing.
Facts.
And then so the Golden Eye over time, it just became kind of outdated saying the whole name. So I just shortened it to G-Eyez. And by the time I met you, it was G-Eyez. And it's been the same ever since. You know what I'm saying?
Nice, man, nice.
Yeah.
So, you know, I ask everybody these questions in these interviews. When it's all said and done, brother, when it's all said and done, what do you want to leave the world? What is the G-Eyez legacy?
Well, there's a few things, but I can sum it up like this. I want to be one of the greatest to ever do it. You know, not just that. I want to utilize the platform to be able to change the world. Especially at times like right now. I think that we in a real weird space. Specifically right now with the COVID-19 and the quarantine and all that. But I mean, if we go even deeper than that, I think that we in a weird space as a society, and I just don't hear no. It's not. Let me phrase this the right way, because I don't want to offend the people that I do feel like do represent it. But I don't feel like there's enough representation of real life things that take place in the music. I think that everybody loves to have a good time, and I think that we all should, right? I heard Tupac say before that, you know, in his life he means a lot of things to a lot of people, and essentially what he just meant by that was some days he may want to wake up and make something powerful like Dear Mama, and then other days he might want to have a good time and say California Love. I'm that kind of artist where, you know, I may want to do something that's so conscious where I'm gonna get you to think and pose questions in the music that's gonna make you, you know, want to think a little deeper. And then other times I'm just gonna want to put some loud in the air and talk about that good. You know, it's just gonna be a roundabout, very versatile approach. But most importantly, man, I just want to be remembered as one of the greats who wasn't afraid to speak his mind, who wasn't afraid to make music that wasn't the most popular club music all the time. Sometimes I'm going to do that. Sometimes I'm going to do some socially conscious music. Sometimes I'm going to do something for the ladies. You know, it's going to be a very versatile approach, you know?
Man, I dig it, man. And, you know, and part of the reason why apparently there are, you know, we've crossed paths. And one thing I wanted to show the world, one thing that I learned from you, man, is building something from nothing. Like I literally, you know, in the East Coast, even at that time when we met, everybody was about getting a record deal. And one thing that I saw with you that I seen in a couple other people, but y'all specifically, was that you created your own movement in that.
Thank you.
You know
Thank you.
how to
Thank
pack
you.
the room, and you had your own, and you stood out, man. You were epitome of what I call rock and roll. You know
Thank
what
you.
I'm saying? Like, and man, keep doing what you're doing. We
Thank
got to, we got to be in Houston next time we record. We did our Boston thing. We got to meet in the H when all this shit clears up, and we got to make some records in the H, bro.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. First and foremost, man, I want to tell you I appreciate that. You know, you as much as I know that I was the inspiration for you, you were as well, J2. Because I mean, I'll be honest, man. You know, the hustle that you had and still have is second to none. You know, I watched you tear down shows. I watched you build your brand. You know, whether it be from the shows that you did down to, I still remember the shirts. I still remember with the silhouette in the African colorway on the shirt. I know what you did, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, from the connections that you made at Berkeley, even down to the I think my homie's name from Japan, Cody, is his name Cody?
Killer Coda.
Yeah. Killer Coda, every once in a blue moon, he'll jump on social media and he'll comment on something I post. I ain't talked to him in a while, but you know, in terms of interacting through social media, every once in a blue moon, he'll pop up and leave a comment or something. So there's still relationships that I have through you that still to this day, you know, stand the test of time, man. And you know, I think that it was a mutual admiration and a mutual respect, man, to be honest, you know.
Hey, man, and you know what? And that's what is important for anybody is a move. I always say a movement moves it.
Yeah.
And it's the same way, man. You know, like, you know, on your end with Jay Cardum, you know, as he moved from the Boston area down to New York, you know, I have stories like, man, you know, Cardum introduced me to French Montana. You know, stories where our worlds collided, man, and it became our little planet, man.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And so what do we tell? I got one more thing for you before we wrap it up. What do you want to tell the youth, the up-and-coming cats that want to do what you've been doing all these years? What's your advice to them? What's your message to the youth trying to do this?
You know, I'll be honest, man, it's gonna sound cookie cutter and cliche. But you gotta dedicate yourself. You gotta figure out a plan of what you're looking to do, and you gotta continue to pursue it. You know, you can't let, you know, in this life, you know, something I've learned is that even if there's nobody there to support you, even if you feel like you're on that journey on your own, if you pursue your passion and your dreams, the people will come. You know what I'm saying? I'm a living testament to it. You know, and when I say that, that don't mean I got 100 million people behind me. That means turning one people into two people, turning two people into four people, turning four. The grassroots, ground up, independent, out the trunk hustle is still alive. And it's honestly more alive now than it's ever been. The internet has allowed us to be able to create our own platform where whether you got 100 million followers or you got 100 followers, if you can figure out a way to master those 100 folks, you got an audience. You know, I watched somebody I look up to. I watched a cat like, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle, turn around and take his hustle from an independent hustle and be able to take it to where he impacted the entire world. Now, granted, you know, he had to pass away for us to be able to see the impact of what his independent hustle did. But you can see that that man changed the world. And he didn't have no #1 hit on the radio and that was playing every 5 minutes, top 40, and video was on BET every 37 seconds. He didn't have that, you know, but he was able to impact the world in a way that the man changed the world. He changed the world, man. And I think that whether you feel like you got 10 followers or you got 10 million followers, you can change the world. Just with you and your live and your audience of people. And I say, man, to all the youngins coming up, you know, build your audience and appreciate that audience. If you got 5 people, appreciate those 5 people, man. Make sure they get music, Make sure you engage with those 5 people. Get them merchandise. Get them music on the double. Interact with them as much as you can. You know, whenever you throwing shows and throwing events, make sure you touching the people. I know that's a touchy subject right now with the social distancing, but y'all know what I'm trying to say. Y'all know what I mean by that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And keep the hustle alive. You know, keep the hustle alive. I don't, to this day, I still don't believe in record labels. I still don't believe in that model. I don't believe in another person controlling my destiny. I don't believe in another man controlling my output. I don't believe in another man controlling how far my reach is. I want total control. I want all my masters. I want to be able to control the way I market it. I want to be able to control the way my branding is to the people and my message. Most importantly, I want to be able to control my message. In the type of music that y'all know me for, you know, because, you know, I've made music in the past that I know is really great music, but it may not have been the most representative of me and my soul and my spirit. And as I've grown in this music, I've learned how to hone that the soul within me and how to get it out in the music to where it can connect to the people that's on that same wavelength. So, you know, you and I are on that page, you know what I'm saying? Which is why we met. And, you know, I'll close out by just saying that, you know, it don't really matter who's with you. It matters how much you believe in yourself. And if you believe in yourself, I promise, man, I promise, God will show the way. God will bring all the right people around you. He'll make sure that your message is displayed to the people. And again, whether it's for, you know, one people or one person's or 100,000 people, as long as you continue to pursue it, you'll be able to do it.
That's it. Because at the end of the day, believing in yourself is also believing in God. And that's what that is. Man, it's been amazing, bro. Tell everybody your social media. How do people hear your music and get and hear more about you? What's the social media?
Yeah, so all my social media is uniform. So it's G-Eyez Music. That's G-E-Y-E-Z Music, how it's normally spelled, U-S-I-C. G-Eyez Music across the board. So that's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Triller, TikTok, every social media platform you can think of. That's how you can reach me. Get ready for my new project coming soon. I got a studio in the crib now. This, you know, small little Pro Tools setup. I'm probably about 100 songs in right now. I'm gearing up to put out a new single produced by 88 Keys. For all those who don't know who 88 Keys is, that's Grammy Award winning producer. He got a lot of production credits. But what people would know him most for, he produced No Church in a While for Jay-Z and Kanye West with Frank Ocean on the hook. He got a bunch of credits, but yeah, we just did something real dope called Real Ones. That's a special record. That's gonna be the next single coming out, and then I'm gonna start hitting them with a bunch of the new stuff I got coming, man. So I just want to tell you, man, JT, I definitely appreciate the opportunity. Man, it's all love on my side. All my folks out of H-Town, stand up. Everybody out in Cambridge, C&B, stand up. And man, you know, until next time, my brother, man, it's love.
Hey, that's what that is, man. Ladies and gentlemen, my brother G-Eyez. Once again, man, you've been on J-Trony. It's Gabbin with the Guvna. Love and light. Stay positive, everybody. And let's keep it pushing. As me and my boy say, persistence fights the resistance. And let's keep going. All right, dude. Peace, family.
All right. Peace, family.